take the first line of the Iliad, "Sing, O goddess, the wrath of Peleus' son Achilles, whose anger brought pains 1,000-fold upon the Achaeans." If that's the lesson of the Iliad, that unbridled passion leads to tragedy, which it certainly does in the Iliad, well, isn't that the story of Darth Vader?
We do not grant you the rank of master.
What? He wants power, but he's kind of weak. He's impatient.
How can you do this? This is outrageous. It's unfair. How can you be on the council and not be a master?
Take a seat, young Skywalker.
He's kind of like a spoiled teenager.
Forgive me, master.
Some people were like, oh, he's too whiny. Why would the galaxy's greatest villain be some whiny teenager? That's who the galaxy's greatest villain would be. He would start as a whiny teenager. He would start as an emo kid with some issues.
Sense great fear in you, Skywalker. You have hate, you have anger, but you don't use them.
As Anakin continues on his hero's journey, the role of mentor is assumed by the scheming Chancellor Palpatine.
I hope you trust me, Anakin.
Of course.
Anakin's relationship with Palpatine grows stronger, and the role of mythic mentor takes on a darker shade.
This is the same narrative role as the serpent with Eve in the Garden of Eden. The serpent says, "You can have the power of God."
Only through me can you achieve a power greater than any Jedi.
And then he says, "God is afraid of the power."
Be careful of the Jedi, Anakin. They see your future. They know your power will be too strong to control.
This is exactly what is laid before Anakin.
Anakin is also tormented by horrifying nightmares concerning his wife, Padme.
You die in childbirth.
It was only a dream.
I won't let this one become real.
He gets too possessed by the fear of losing again the main woman in his life, and that leads him to the dark side.
Darth Plagueis, he had such a knowledge of the dark side, he could even keep the ones he cared about from dying.
Is it possible to learn this power?
Not from a Jedi.
In keeping with the mythic overtones of Star Wars, Anakin succumbs and makes this Faustian bargain. The Faust story in its classic form is the story of a man who sells his soul to the devil in order to achieve power.
Anakin receives his baptism as a Dark Lord of the Sith.
Henceforth, you shall be known as Darth Vader.
Now his story directly parallels that of the devil himself. As told in John Milton's epic poem, Paradise Lost, Lucifer was once one of God's most beautiful and favored angels. But Lucifer's conceit and his lust for power over God caused him to wage war on heaven. Defeated, he was cast out and created his own kingdom in hell.
Like Milton's Satan, Anakin Skywalker is the man who cannot resist the temptation of power.
I am becoming more powerful than any Jedi has ever dreamed of, and I'm doing it for you.
A part of Lucifer's downfall was his own pride and his own arrogance.
I am more powerful than the Chancellor. I can overthrow him. And together, you and I can rule the galaxy.
And pride always goes before a fall.
You're going down a path I can't follow. Stop! Stop now, come back!
You're with him! You brought him here to kill me!
No!
Let her go, Anakin!
Anakin.
Let her go!
Lucas is also hearkening back to Greek tragedy. Anakin loses Padme. His attempt to save her by going over to the dark side of the Force kills her. That is the fundamental Greek tragedy.
You thunder against me!
You have done that yourself.
The battle between Obi-Wan and Anakin on the planet Mustafar has apocalyptic resonances to it. We see lava and fire all around, and this mirrors what is happening to Anakin internally. We really have descended to hell because we're about to see Anakin's own damnation.
You underestimate my power! Don't try it!
And I love what George Lucas does with the symbolism here. He's so passionate that it burns him and consumes him.
The dismemberment of Anakin goes to the extent symbolically of how much he really lost his humanity. He's become cut off from himself, but also from others.
It actually feels kind of Wagnerian to me, that the price of evil becomes apparent.
This is George Lucas looking to mythology, specifically the Greek myth of Nemesis, the notion that you are somehow going to be the victim of the things that you sow.
Now, Anakin has to live in hell. And for someone that passionate, hell for him is to become a mechanical monster. To have really no humanity left.
As Anakin is turned into a half-man, half-machine, another classic archetype is evoked, this time from the world of Gothic horror.
Finally, we have the answer of how this strange hybrid creature was in fact constructed as a kind of Frankenstein's monster.
Lord Vader, can you hear me?
Yes, Master.
Master Windu. I must say you're here sooner than expected.
In the name of the Galactic Senate of the Republic, you're under arrest, Chancellor.
Are you threatening me, Master Jedi?
The Senate will decide your fate.
I am the Senate.
If the mythic hero is a figure of freedom, the villain he faces often stands as a symbol of tyranny. That tradition is continued in the first 3 episodes of the Star Wars saga, which offer a dark drama of political intrigue and corruption.
Begin landing your troops.
Is that legal?
I will make it legal.
The story draws from more than myth and literature. It reflects a cycle in our own history. The fall of republics and the rise of dictators.
Hundreds of senators are now under the influence of a Sith Lord called Darth Sidious.
It's no longer just a small band of adventurers having fun in a dangerous place, but it's now grown into sort of a geopolitical meltdown. Order! It concerns itself with the corruption of government, with a government that is trying to seize power for itself.
I will be Chancellor.
And so generates these sort of artificial crises that it can then respond to. The threat from outside actually being generated from within.
Wipe them out. All of them.
At the center of the story is the scheming Darth Sidious. Disguised as the kindly Senator Palpatine, he uses the Republic's fears of rebellion and war to gradually seize absolute power.
We know what Lucas draws on a great deal, which is Germany in the 30s, which is the same animal.
here, there's a very strong analogy in Star Wars. You have a chancellor, Palpatine, who wants extraordinary powers. Well, that's exactly what Chancellor Hitler requested in 1933, the so-called Enabling Act. Basically said, you can do pretty much anything you want. It's an emergency power, naturally, but of course, emergency powers rarely go away.
This is a crisis. The Senate must vote the Chancellor emergency powers. He can then approve the creation of an army.